boa tarde. Today I thought I'd just give you a little taste of what I've been doing and a little tour of the land and some of my thoughts on weeds. I love weeds. So here we go. So one of the first things I did was keep control of the mimosas that are just taking over from the Quinta next door, and they sort of could just overrun this place if I didn't keep control of them. So I've done the top of this terrace. You can see the mimosas are cut there, and then here's our water tanks and our first terrace, which has got blueberries on. And having cut the mimosas has been amazing, because these other trees, oak trees and madrona and oak trees and madrona, so it's been brilliant because they've been given some space and they're really coming into their own. So eventually this will become a hedge of oaks, which will be really good to sort of mark the boundary of the land, and it's a useful wood that we can use and crop when we need it. Lots of brambles in here. That'll be another day when I come and keep control of brambles. This will park van, and I love brambles as well. Their tenacity, their will to live, it's fantastic. And I always feel a bit sad when I dig them up and control them, but they do need to be controlled here. So that's the first terrace. Like I say, there's an apple tree at the end, and then 2 rows of blueberries, a water tank that I'm going to move at some point, and some cherries. But hopefully this year we'll do a bit better. The cherries were giving a bit of tough love, and they've been taken off the watering system, so we'll see whether they can survive without being watered regularly as they had been. This is terrace 2, more cherries, more blueberries, and I've taken out the mimosas that are along here. I've just seen some though. That's annoying, some that I missed. So I'll have to come back here and get them. And now over to my inventions. So, as you might have seen in one of my other videos, I scored all of these poles at a good price, and I'm building things. Here we have the kitchen, which is half, the frame is half built, there's half of it, and the other half is sort of built but on an angle, because I need a couple of people to help me push it up and connect it up to the middle. And I was building this in the summer, and then it just got too hot, and the project was put on hold until the weather's got a little bit more better to actually work in. So that's project ongoing. Looks a bit crazy at the moment. My Portuguese neighbour, I tried to talk to him about it and explain it to him. He just shook his head and thought that's just crazy complicated. But hey ho, I like the challenge. And this is my practice at making the gazebo. Not the gazebo, it could be a gazebo. The estufa. So this is my practice at making the estufa, the greenhouse. Now, at the moment it's on its side, you can't really see how I've got to design it, but it's coming on, and it's going to be solid and really strong, but you can't really see how it's going to be at the moment. I'll try and put this up, see if I can set it up. you can get an idea. Oh. So I don't know whether you can see that. One of them's hanging down, but it's going to be a bit like this. Yeah, I'm not sure whether you can see quite how that is going to be, but work in progress, and it will come together really quickly once I actually start building it for real. So let's come down. Here's one of the kiwis that I planted, and over here is second terrace on this side, which has got a nice so this terrace has got some smaller olive trees which need a bit of a prune now. Again, these are not being watered, tough love. They are surviving just about, but that is how it is. I want to try and have things that can survive here without as very much watering. Here you can see a lot of the irrigation system that was here already, which is fantastic if I do want to plant trees that need irrigating, because it's all here in place when I need it if I do. Here's the second kiwi. Here's another terrace with lots of, this is where the brambles have gone crazy. It takes a day to keep these under control. Again, keeping these things under control means these oak trees here straight ahead will start growing, which gives shade in the summer and is a useful wood to have. Here, see what I've been doing today. I just made a little patch, cleared around underneath these cabbages that again haven't watered at all but are surviving. They're 2 years old now. One of the first things I planted. They've struggled, but they're holding their own now, and maybe they'll keep surviving. And underneath I've put some beetroot to see whether that grows here, doing a bit of experiments to see where things will grow. Again, my neighbour told me that it's not really time to plant these sorts of things. My neighbour said, you don't want to be planting these things now, and I thought, well, I'll try, because in these patches there's microclimates here. I want to see whether we can actually grow things through the winter. So even though there are frosts now, and there's going to be a sharp frost tonight in the next few days, under here, these places, there might not be a frost, and they might be able to survive. So I'm just going to try. It's all experimenting. So here we go. We've got some carrots planted here, and some beetroot under the cabbages, and then I'll just take you down the end. I've done a bit more control of some mimosas here. Another olive tree and another olive tree, both need pruning. And here you can see the mimosas that are just aching, wanting to come over. They're actually overhanging our land and dropping seeds, and root systems are moving into our land. So it's a sort of constant battle with the mimosas. again, we're sort of letting these oaks grow up, and they're growing very fast, and we can utilise the leaves because the leaves are great for the blueberries. They help acidify the soil for the blueberries. Also, it gives them a great bit of shade in the evenings, and it's a frost protector as well. So these oaks, letting them grow is seeming really, really useful. Here's another more established olive, and another one here, another one here, and this is the other bit of work I've done this morning. I put in here some carrots on one side, beetroot on the other. I had cabbages here the year before last, so I weeded it very quickly, put down the weeds along this side that I've pulled up, and they'll mulch down and increase the size of the bed and prevent the weeds from going underneath, make it very easy to start building up the bed, and there'll be more organic material on the bed. This is why I love weeds. So weeds are brilliant. I sort of encourage them to keep growing. I don't want to get rid of all my weeds. I don't want to kill everything off. One, obviously it's brilliant for wildlife, brilliant for the insect life, which is the basis of the biodiversity that we need to survive. So we've got to try and encourage that. But also, they're a cut and come again form of organic matter that I can put back on the soil and back on the soil. And so I can build the soil, I can improve the soil with the weeds. So yeah, I love weeds generally. I don't take them all out because I want some of the roots to grow, I want some of them to grow. I want them to seed sometimes, so I get more. I'll definitely want them to flower, and I definitely want them to grow where they want to grow. So it gives me an idea of what I can put there, because it might be things that are similar to them, that like similar conditions, and then I can sow things there too. So weeds are brilliant. I love weeds. Okay, so here's the next bed. This is another one that I did this morning, and I just cleared some of this bed and sowed some more beetroot here. The beetroot seems to be doing all right, so I sowed some more in there. It's full of parsley that's doing really, really well. There's some chickweed in there as well, which I haven't pulled up. Chickweed is just a native plant that grows everywhere, but it's you can eat it. It's like a nice salady plant, or you can make juices out of it, which is really nice. This is sort of becoming a bit of a bed for my herbs. So picked up a fennel the other day and a rosemary the other day cheaply at a garden centre, so chuck them in there. Here we've got marjoram and a sage, which are surviving, again not been watered at all over the summer, and they're surviving. And this sort of little space here under these trees gives another little microclimate that keeps it warm in the winter, keeps the frosts off. Rarely get a frost in here, and so I can potentially grow things that maybe couldn't grow other times. Here I've just got my these are the seeds that I planted. You might see in one of the videos, one of my videos I think last week or the week before, and they're already coming up. These are kale and cabbage and broccoli, and they're already coming up. And I'm going to just put some plastic on this frame, put it over the top to prevent the frosts getting onto this corner, although like I say, this doesn't get too much frost, so that's fine. And so we've got our terrace here for more olives. The olives haven't done amazingly well this year, but it's like that. They have good years and bad years, and this year's a bad year. Not too worried, got lots of oil left over from last year. Here, I'm again experimenting, put lots of spinach in here, a couple of varieties of spinach here and here to see whether they grow in the winter and see whether they survive. Ideally, I tried it last year, but they didn't put them in a bit late, and the summer just prevented them really from growing. So I'm hoping that they will start self-seeding, and this will be 2 spinach beds that I won't have to do too much to. They'll just carry on self-seeding and replenishing themselves all the time. That's the idea. So I'll just be keeping going, and if they don't survive the winter, then I'll just plant some more later on in the start of next year, early spring, late winter, and just keep seeing until they hold. Here I've left in a lot of the marigolds because I love marigolds. There's lots of them around. This sort of native marigold, and love them. Again, like I say, it's great for the insect life to have flowers at this time of year. Here's our little shed. Gonna have, it's a bit of a state at the moment. Gonna have another shed tidy. That was a video before. Saw the gecko today. He was up there behind that bit of wood. But yeah, this is gonna need a big old tidy, and I think I've got a little mouse or rat's nest in that corner, so it is time to start clearing this out again. But yeah, that's the shed. What I'm going to do with the shed eventually is raise this roof. I've got some windows to put in along the top, and I'll just raise the roof slightly and have windows along the top, sort of along here, windows along there, raise the roof up a little bit, and then there'll be light inside as well, and that'll be my work shed. Haven't got around to it yet. Another project, many projects to come. So here is the tent that has survived, I think, 3 winters now. It's incredible. We cover it in the summer with shade clothing, with a double shade clothing in the summer, and that seems to be protecting it. They don't last long out in this time of this place really. If you put a tent up, a summer will kill it off. It disintegrated a tarp once, one summer, disintegrated a tarp. Didn't actually see any of the tarp left. Anyway, back down to this level, we've got, here's the orange tree. Not incredibly productive, but it's holding its own now. It's getting some established, and so hopefully that will be fruiting soon. Here's our apple, which again is a prune in the winter, this winter. But again, it's being quite productive, and it's holding its own, and it's not being watered, so surviving the summers. Here's the fig tree, massive fig tree that you might have seen in other videos, that actually is impossible to crop when it produces its figs, and the birds get most of them, so it needs a massive prune, and that is going to be one hell of a job. But yeah, that is another job on the agenda. Here's the tank that I should have fixed. Should have been the first thing we did when we came here, but we were complacent, and that's in another video, my rookie mistakes. However, it's going to be on the list of one of the priorities this year to get this fixed, so we can start collecting water over the winter. Here we go, under the secret bit. Push away these bits, and where I relax in a hammock in the summer and look up at this nest for a tree. That's incredible. Look how big that nest for a tree is. Huge nest for a tree. Buzzing with bees at the moment because the blossom is in there. Don't know whether you can hear that. There's someone with a chainsaw as well. That's not the bees. Anyway, that nest tree is fantastic. We don't get many Nespers off it. I think it's just too old. It's growing too well. It doesn't really need to make great fruits. But to be honest, it's an incredible place for wildlife. So I don't really want to touch it. The only thing I want to do with it really is build a platform in it, which will be another project round about there, just here, and just about there. Build a platform and put an armchair up there. So that'll be a nice place to sit. That's another project. Oh, let's see what else we've got here. So, and the other thing we've got here is this beautiful, absolutely beautiful hazel tree. It's got catkins at the moment, and I will be going through collecting all the leaves up because the leaves are fantastic to put on the vegetable beds, but also when I do that I'll be picking out some of these acorns that have fallen off it. So that's another thing. And then this gets a bit wild up this end, and I like that because I like wild areas. Brambles have taken over, there's some oak trees, little oak trees there, and I do like having wild areas for wildlife to live in, because really it's their world as much as it is my world. So now let's go back. I've got a spring here, just comes in here. This pipe, it just doesn't produce a lot of water, but there's enough to just about keep enough water to drink, and to it actually, I put it on a timer system. It filled up the tank that you'll see in a minute, and it did water the veg garden over the hottest part of the winter when we were away, and that was really good. Now here, planted a lot of trees recently. There's a fig in that corner, a Nespra tree here, another Nespra tree, more established one which we've had, which has got lots of fruit on it, which is lovely. Here's our veg beds, still producing. Amazingly, the broccoli keeps just coming back, and then there's some kale that's coming on. So this is the tank that the spring water comes up, and spring water comes in there, fills up, and then I've got a little timer here, and that releases the water that drips feeds around these vegetable beds. That'll be a sustainable thing, so I don't mind watering the vegetable beds. Obviously it's well mulched, as you can see. I've been weeding a bit. All this organic matter is fantastic. Like I say, weeds is brilliant, and that'll all be going onto other beds. Here's my solar panel. Seems to do all the work for us. Does the pumps, and that's in there is the battery and the inverter and all of that electrical equipment. Here is the well. Needs a clean. Again, we should have cleaned it, and we're sort of a bit late this year. Keep missing the boat. Never mind. Can't do it all. And so we come to this area, and this area is going, we've started planting these fruit trees to build the orchard up on this level. Trees, trees, trees. Another one of the things we regretted not putting enough trees in when we first moved here. So we're on the case of putting the trees in, and we're leaving this area as a nice area for camping under this fantastic old and very, very beautiful pear tree. So this will be a nice circular glade within the orchard that's being planted. So you might be able to see the sticks there with the labels on. We've got apples, pears, nectarines, peaches, and got a mulberry tree over there, just there, and then we come down to this bed. This is the boat bed, and in here we've got lots of stuff. This is some of the stuff I planted quite recently. Already the garlic's coming up. It's only, you might have seen this in the video not long ago, planting garlic. Well, it's already coming up. And there's a big pile of weeds that I weeded here. Not sure where that's going to go yet, but that'll be starting to build another bed, or going on an existing bed I'll be using next year. It'll rot down in situ. It'll start rotting down there, and when I move it, it'll rot down where I want it to be. It's definitely the way that I like gardening. I don't particularly like hard work, so I like doing things lazily if I can. Here in front of us we have another hazel, an almond. That definitely needs a good prune. My God, every time I look at it I just see more and more bits that I need to prune from it. Yeah. Here's apricots and plums. The plums looked incredibly ill last year, but I heavily pruned them, neem oiled them. You can watch a video on what I did with them, and it's incredible. You know, this is late, the leaves are falling now. They should be falling like this at the moment, so that's not a problem, but the neem oil has really helped them sort of recover. So it's one of the jobs when it's a drier day and they've actually dried out a bit, it's very damp at the moment, I will put some neem oil back on them and just keep up that regular routine, because it seemed to work. If I did it every month or so, it was doing really well. And I've also been feeding them with organic feeds as well, and definitely they come back really well. We have along here, there's another row of blueberries. Again, you can look at my blueberry video and see that again, more tough luck with surfacing, whether they'll survive. Here are the raspberries that are just doing phenomenally well, considering I didn't plant them that long ago. And here, more blueberries, and this is, I've said it before, but I like saying, I'll say it again, this bed is going to have not only veg in it, it's going to have things like the perennials, like the canna lily, it's going to have trees in it, like this, and we'll see trees in it, and we'll see how well this orange tree does here. It might be too cold in here, down here, but we're going to just give it a go. So we've got some sorghum that I want for it to start seeding, and I'll plant veg in between that if it starts self-seeding. Carrots that survived all through the summer without any watering at all. So the leeks that survived all summer without any watering at all, didn't grow much, but now they're coming into their own. Now we've got warm days like this, plenty of wet weather. Planting some fruit bushes in here as well, and it does look like the latest cold weather has taken out these courgettes that have been surviving quite well. But I think that might be it. I think with the frosts that are forecast, I don't think they'll survive. Here's another bed that had the potatoes on, and there's one potato left. So we're gonna see, hopefully that'll give us a few new potatoes for Christmas. And in here I've planted broad beans. I can't see them coming up yet. Oh, look, there's one popping out. I'll push that back in. There we go. There we go. Looked like it was beginning to germinate though, so that's good. So broad beans in here, and I need to plant some more broad beans. I need to get some more bean seeds. Here's the bed. It's coming on. Need to stamp on it every time I come past just to break it down. It's got a lot of wooden material. I was talking to someone the other day explaining how I make some of my beds, and it's just laying branches down, mimosa and olive branches. Here's a couple of the bigger ones on the side, and how actually it's like a lazy hugel bed really, that I'm just building up organic material on top of it and on top of it, and eventually it'll break down, rather than actually trying to dig a hole, bury the wood. So yeah, I come back, and so that gives you an idea of the place. These have been put here up like that to try and just keep off some of the frost, and see if I can keep the courgettes and squashes going for a bit longer, but I really don't think that's going to happen. I think their day might have come with this cold weather. Pomegranate in here. Hasn't really taken off yet. Hopefully next spring it'll come into its own a bit. But it survived the summer all right. So hopefully that'll be in a good way for when the spring comes. So, as I've said before, you can see this bed looks dreadful, but it will take me maybe 15 minutes to clear this area ready for planting, because of the amount of mulch and the amount of organic matter on the top that I keep building up. The root systems of the weeds that I don't want to be there don't go down very far, so I can pull them up really easily. And then the weeds that I do want there, like I've mentioned before, these docks, just pull out the weeds. Fantastic nutritious mulching material. It's just really easy to pull up. So yeah, it won't take me long, and you can actually see that the organic material in there that's starting to build up. It's looking really nice soil there. So I'll just keep on that. There we go, look, it's just coming off. The actual docks are actually, when they're growing, they're great, because they actually suppress the weeds of other things, and then you can pull up the weeds and just put the weeds back on. Pull up the leaves rather, put the leaves back on, and they're again just suppressing the weeds. And they're bringing all those nutrients from their really long roots, all the nutrients from below the soil, bring all that up to the surface, so I can start having it on the top for my veggies to start getting their nutrients from. And you start building, there is a thing about nutrient rich vegetables. When you have vegetables that are getting nutrients like this, they're getting a wider range of minerals, and so they have better nutrients in them than maybe factory farmed vegetables. I'm not sure, intensively farmed vegetables, I mean to say. So some more ways, just very quickly, just going through this. Already building up a pile of nice weeds that I can use to build more the soil more. So just fantastic. I love weeds. Brilliant. They're just nutrients for us. Nutrients, and for us, for our vegetables. And they just keep it going. Absolutely fantastic. So yes, well, I'll carry on with that a bit longer, a bit later on. And here we go, we've got the last of my cauliflowers. Probably pick them soon because they're not going to like the frosts. Looking all very nice, and yeah, so there we go. There's brambles here. As I say, I love brambles. In the right place, they're fantastic. And I have been training a lot of the brambles for them to produce more fruits, which is brilliant. And so they can be really, really productive. This year, unfortunately, missed out on these ones. I pruned them well, so they produced loads of blackberries, you can see, but I wasn't here to pick them. This is a problem with travelling. Sometimes when you travel, and we had to be away at the time that these came, we had to miss out on these blackberries that I'd pruned this bush so well to produce all of these blackberries for us. But that's the way of it sometimes. I love this little place here though, my secret place, which is going to have an armchair in that Nespera tree and maybe a rope bridge across to the, I don't know, I've got things. I just love that little place. Maybe a yoga deck down there, so it's a nice place to chill in the summer, because it actually stays cool there all summer, even when it's 45, 50 degrees sometimes here, and you've got the sun blaring down under there. It's very pleasant. And then if I can get this done, I'll be able to jump in it. So I've got various ideas about this. If you've got any good ideas about how to fix this on the cheap, because as always, money is limited, then let me know. But the first thing obviously we'll be doing is clearing out and getting all those lovely leaves out of this, because they're going to be fantastic for the veggie beds. So that's another lovely job to do. Oh, one thing I was going to mention. This is, I'll show you from here. You can sort of see, probably see there, sort of straight ahead, is where the greenhouse is going to be built. Near where the pallets are, sort of, and that's where I'm going to build the greenhouse, because it gets a lot of the morning sun, but it also gets sun right through into the afternoon as well. So it's a good place, and there's a nice view of the bottom level. Anyway, let's see. So I hope you like that little tour of the land. Some of it anyway, the productive areas of the land, and I hope you can check out some of my other videos that explain what I've been doing here. I'm learning and experimenting and trying to create a garden, a productive fruit forest, really productive fruit and vegetable forest garden that will produce food but won't tie me to it all the time. So I've built in an irrigation system that keep things going when I'm on away if it's going to be dry, and I'm trying to get things to grow without water, so using mulches and retaining the moisture in certain ways, and experimenting where the water is on this Quinta, so I don't have to fight against it and try plant things in the wrong places like the previous owner had, and he'd put loads of blueberries all over the place and in places where they just will never ever survive without a significant amount of water, and actually planted some where there was too much water, where they got too waterlogged in the winter. So yeah, I'm experimenting, trying to find ways of doing this in the best way I can, so I can have an amazing productive place. So do it in the best way I can and have an amazing productive place that produces me food when I'm not here. So when I come back, I've got food, and then I come back, do a bit of work, get some food, go away again, and have the best of both worlds. Have a beautiful place where I can come and stay and get my food, grow my food, and also have this maintaining itself, self-maintaining garden, so I don't have to do loads of work on it all the time. When I'm here, I work hard, but then I can go away and leave it, and it will still be producing while I'm away. So when I come back, I've got more food. I'm repeating myself, but yes, that is the garden so far. So yeah, I hope you like this video. So yeah, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, obviously subscribe so you don't miss any. And check out my other videos. They're all in sections, playlists now, so you can look at the homestead ones if they're the ones. I've got ones on art, I've got ones on travel, culture, foraging. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't mention. Down here, there's loads of St John's wort just growing here. And also, yes, another thing. St John's wort and clover and mint that are just rampant here. And that's fantastic because they're all fantastic plants, useful in different ways. So, yeah, it's some of the things that we liked about the place, that it already had these things growing wild here. Anyway, I end it now. Goodbye, take care, look after your loved ones, speak to people who you might feel are feeling lonely. We've all got our issues with mental health, and yeah, it's prevalent. Let's talk about it, let's support each other in these quite testing times for a lot of people. So definitely look after yourselves, look after your friends, your loved ones, your neighbours, and strangers. We all need some love at the moment. Take care. Goodbye.